and welcome back to my doll collecting channel. Today I'm going to be answering a question that I see a lot of people asking on online, the universe, I don't know how to describe. I see a lot of people asking online on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and all these different social media sites, how do you care for a large collection? Usually in the groups that I see it in, it's about American Girl or doll collecting in general. And I'm gonna make this video for collections in general and for collectors in general. It can be for anything. It doesn't have to be American Girl or even doll collecting. This can be for any type of collection, but I do collect mostly American Girl and some other doll brands, so that's what I'm gonna be focusing on today. So the very first advice that I would give if you have a large collection, or if you're going to have a large collection, or just large collections in general, is organization is key. You need things that are easy to use, labeled, use function over looks. Now that can be tricky because especially when it comes to doll collecting, you want everything to look pretty and nice, and everyone has a different definition of what pretty and nice looks like. Some people love really crowded collections with lots of energy and things going on. Other people like more spaced out, more clean looks of collections. It really just depends on your own personal style. But regardless of what your style looks like for your displays, the supplies that goes along with it, and even the displays, I would argue, need to be organized in a way that's actually functional for how you intend to use it. For my collection, for example, I use my dolls to take photos, use them in YouTube videos, I use them for Instagram and YouTube, and sometimes TikTok and Instagram Reels. So I need to be able to access my dolls very quickly and put them back fairly easily. I also change their outfits a lot or do their hair, so I need the supplies for their hair and their clothing to be organized as well. For the doll shelves, I have it pretty straightforward. Some of these shelves, as you can see, they have, you know, a single row of dolls just because that's all that can fit on the shelf. Other shelves have some tier layering things going on. And that's where it starts to get a little bit tricky if you want a doll that's standing in the back row, but it's not impossible. If it was more messier than this, it wouldn't be functional. So just keep that in mind. So this isn't perfect, but it is functional. I'm able to use it, and it doesn't always, usually not, but sometimes creates a doll avalanche where everything comes falling down. You do not want that to happen frequently, or you're gonna get very, very frustrated, and it could actually lead to damaging of whatever your collection is made out of. For the supplies that goes along with doll collecting, the clothes and the hair accessories, I have everything organized in these tall tower storage bin things, and they are labeled in a way that is functional for me. So I have them organized by time period. So is it by each historical time period or modern? But then I also have it separated too for things that are larger categories like coats, pajamas, costumes, Christmas dresses, things that I have a lot of that needs its own separate bin. But they are all labeled and good to go. My next point is to use your collection often. Now, often, if you're an adult like me and you have jobs and families and hobbies and things going on, some days, a lot of days, you can feel like, oh, I'm too tired, I don't want to go down there. Or another thing that I experience is I feel like once I go down there, I'm gonna want to do all these things, and I'm gonna want to tidy up, rearrange, make a video, do a whole bunch of crazy things when I get down here. So it can feel overwhelming, especially if I don't have all the time, and there's never enough time to do all the things that I want to do. But it can feel overwhelming that I'm afraid of just going down there and getting sucked into a rabbit hole of all the things I need to do for the collection. Which is interesting because for me, it's heavily tied in with YouTube, and that's another beast of its own. So what I try to do is I try to set a timer or a schedule for a time that I'm gonna go down in my doll room. So that can be a half hour, that can be an hour, whatever you decide to set. Or even if you say, once I get all these tasks done, then I can head down there and do what I need to do. Another aspect of this tip of spending time with your collection is this prevents you from overbuying for your collection, because you really spend time with it and understand what is in your collection and what you need in your collection, if you need anything. So you really understand what you have, so you don't, buy a duplicate or something like that, or you don't buy something that can already be answered with what you have in your collection. Next tip is think before you buy. One question you can ask yourself is there something else I can use in my collection that I can use for now? Do I really need to buy the newest, greatest thing, or can I use something else in my collection as a substitute? Now, this works for my collection because I use a lot of my American Girl dolls to create different crafts, different outfits, because I do a lot of sewing, also for photography, for YouTube as well. So I use my dolls more as tools than I really do as a collection. I do use them as a collection, but they are really tools for the videos and the photos that I create for Instagram and YouTube. So if you have a collection like mine where you can use it, maybe this applies to things like Lego. Could you use some other Lego things to create what you want to create instead of going out and buying it? Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes if you want to have a project, you have to buy something new, and that is also fine. And one thing that I learned after the 4 years of me collecting American Girl as an adult is that there is always a good deal. Always, always, always. Now, American Girl is quite expensive, but there's always a good deal. There's always a good deal on eBay. I found dolls at thrift stores. I found dolls at garage sales. And I live in Canada too. So they're even harder to find where I live than if you were in the United States. And eBay is a lot more expensive, and I can still find great deals. So never feel like if you missed out on a deal that you're never going to encounter a deal like that again. You definitely will. So breathe, calm down, and don't panic. Because if you're like me, sometimes you see a good deal on Facebook Marketplace or eBay and you panic because you think, I'm never gonna see a deal like this again. And trust me, you will. If you are a newer collector and you've only been collecting for maybe a year or two, then it really does feel like every good deal is the only, like you're never gonna see a deal like this again. That is not true. You will always find good deals. People are often surprised when they find out that most of my collection, if you average out how much I pay for each doll, that's around $50. Some I paid more, like some I paid less, like some dolls I brought brand new, other dolls I found at thrift stores, so there's like a wide range there. But if I didn't want to buy any brand new dolls, I could totally do that, and it's actually very achievable. So just think before you buy. Be intentional, and you don't even have to buy anything because it's a good deal. If you want to focus on things that are in pristine condition, that is also fine. Just have a goal and be honest with what you want out of your collection. Another tip that I have is to regularly downsize your collection. If you're like me, you find dolls at thrift stores or at garage sales, or just when you have money in your budget and you're intentional and you decide to buy a doll or some piece of your collection for a special occasion or things like that, your collection just is bound to grow. But you also need to let go of things as well. And this could mean donate, this could mean give something to a friend, this could mean sell something. The more you do this, getting rid of things in your collection and downsizing parts of your collection, the easier it becomes. And I also want to say that this step is going to be easier for some people than others. A lot of people are going to find this step challenging, but it's really necessary, because if you kept everything in your collection would grow super fast and you would get super overwhelmed, and then it might even become a huge, massive problem depending on your situation. Sometimes people get upset with these kind of videos because I'm trying to give very general advice for things that everyone's situation is so different and so nuanced. So I might say things that might not apply to you, and that is okay, because I'm trying to give general advice on a very specific topic. And now, I'm not saying that you need to get rid of or sell like one huge chunk of your collection every like few months. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But if you have a collection like mine where there's a lot of little pieces like hair stuff, I have a dollhouse which I furnish with thrift store finds and furniture and things like that. You can get rid of things that are broken, that just don't fit, that you don't like anymore. And it's a lot easier when you don't spend too much in a collection like mine in a thrift store or the dollar store. Then you can just get rid of it for like, and it's not too expensive, or you can sell it if you change your mind. And also, if you do decide to sell your collection, or if you outgrow a portion of your collection, sometimes certain dolls go up in value if they're discontinued. So even if they've been discontinued for like a year, they could go up in value. So you could actually make some money from what you sell them for, or you could get the money back that you spent on that doll. That's not always the case, but sometimes it is. You might be surprised how much people are willing to pay for a certain doll. And especially if you've outgrown, for me, it's like a line of dolls or a certain part of my collection. If I've outgrown it, sometimes I'm surprised at how much people are willing to pay for that portion of my collection. But even if you know you wouldn't make any money back from your collection, or you wouldn't get the value that you spent on the collection, I personally give advice to people: don't collect dolls as an investment. It's not an investment because anything can happen. You never know what dolls are going to be super popular in 10 years, what ones are not, which are not going to be worth anything. A whole bunch of different factors go into how valuable a doll is. So don't just buy dolls for the investment. So even if you have a collection that you can't make money off of, or you can't make your money back on, it's important to downsize your collection, or else it might feel like your collection owns you and you don't own the collection. Another tip I have is to have other hobbies and goals outside of your collection. You need balance, and you can get easily distracted by a collection, make it your whole life, make it your whole identity. But it's important that you have other things outside of your collection that, you know, I think this is for anything. I don't think that you should have one thing that is your sole identity, be that a job, be that anything. You know, you should have balance and have different things that you're interested in or working on. Just have different things going on, because then if something's not going well in one aspect of your life, it doesn't feel like your whole life is falling apart. Now, this can be difficult for, you know, people like me who make their collection also with social media, and you know, they're a YouTuber and that's one of the jobs they have. I mean, that's my case. YouTube is one of the jobs that I have, but I do make time for it, because how it works is on my channel, I film a bunch of videos when I'm in the mood for it, and then I space those videos out over time. So I post at least once a week. So I might make 4 or 5 videos in the span of 2-3 days, and then post those throughout the month. So even if I'm not in the mood, something still gets posted on the YouTube. So make sure you have that balance, and that it's something you really enjoy, and you're doing it when you enjoy it and not forcing yourself to do it when you don't feel like doing it. My final tip, this is my final tip. I think this might be my final tip, and that is form a positive community, either in person or online, surrounding your collection. It's probably going to be easier to form an online community of friends surrounding your collection. It's important that these people are positive and encouraging with your collection. Now, this does not mean if someone is having a bad day or if they vent to you about something that you need to cut them out of their life. That's not what I'm talking about with positive. But you need to find somebody who, or some people that, you know, they say positive things about your collection. They're encouraging, and when you walk away after hanging out with them, either digitally or in person, you feel good and happy. And you don't want somebody who says negative things about your collection or tries to bring you down. And make sure that, you know, you're invested in their lives and in their collection, and they're invested in your lives and your collection, and just, you know, it's kind of a balanced relationship. Balance is key. That is one thing, a key takeaway from this video, is having balance. And I wrote a note that said, don't just hang out with people for clout or to grow your brand. This is probably one of my biggest pet peeves about doll collecting. Like, I don't mind talking to people about collections, and I'll talk to anybody on Instagram, regardless of the size, follower count. I don't pay attention to that stuff at all. I couldn't name anybody's follower account. I don't pay attention to that stuff. I talk to people who I feel are positive, who has an interesting perspective, just, you know, have good things to say, and I try to be positive and kind and all those things. So I'll talk to anybody on Instagram or in my YouTube comments, but I always find this concept of networking just so strange to me. In my opinion, how I view my channel is I do this for fun. I have lots of fun doing it. It's about doing a fun hobby that brings me joy and brings other people joy. And it's not about growing my brand or becoming an influencer or any of that stuff. I mean, sure, maybe that stuff would be fun, and I thought I wanted that before, but I don't want that now. So don't hang out with somebody just because you want to grow your brand or get clout, or because you want to network, or because no. Hang out with people because you genuinely enjoy their company. Really silly to me just to talk to somebody and just to hang out because you want something from them. That's just not fair. That's not kind. So don't do that. And also, the block and unfollow button exists for a reason, and you don't need some dramatic excuse to use it. You can use it whenever you want to, whenever you feel like you need to. And it's not necessarily an unkind thing to unfollow somebody. You can unfollow somebody for whatever reason you want. It can be, I don't like the content anymore, I don't like this, I don't like that. That is, or I just want to have a more curated feed. It doesn't matter what your reason is, and you don't need to explain your reason for unfollowing to somebody or blocking someone for that matter. It's absolutely fine. You don't need to justify it for any reason. So those have been my tips for how I manage a larger collection. Some of them included physical tips like organization. Some of them more social tips like creating a positive community. Some of these were financial tips, which fits into my whole how to American Girl on a budget thing that I'm starting on this channel. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you got something out of it, make sure to subscribe. Also make sure to follow my Instagram. If you have any tips for people who have larger collections or any size collections at all, make sure to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.